that's wrong, man. I mean, that's just like torturing someone. I mean, going in there and hurting someone is just not fair on Davis.
Jake Paul, Tank Davis.
I got Tank by Burger.
Size don't matter?
Hell no.
And people, it's funny how now they're saying size matters, Jake is big, when for so long it's been Tank would kill Jake Paul. And now you get to see if that's real.
Boxing experts are overwhelmingly backing Gervonta Tank Davis to beat Jake Paul. Many believe Davis's unmatched skill, ring IQ, and experience will allow him to dominate. Paulie Malignaggi stressed that Jake's size advantage won't matter when matched against Davis's pedigree. He praised Davis's legendary career, built on years of dominance, and reminded fans that Tank's legacy has already left a lasting mark on boxing at the highest level.
Because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you, you can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinch, you ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch a lightweight, can drop a heavyweight. There's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks
the answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, it's still a highlight moment.
A visual that will stay forever.
Yeah, but if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion in multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside, as boxers, me and Chris Aldrey, the champion, even you, Jimmy, you have fight experience, so we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you're probably going down if you're a small guy if he hits you clean. So we know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public. So there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing, and I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him earn his spot that he still...
Nakisa Baidarian, co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions and a central figure in Jake Paul's career, offered bold insights before the fight was finalized. According to him, Paul's size means nothing when stepping into the ring with someone as complete as Davis. Nakisa explained that this fight wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision, but a matchup quietly in the works ever since Jake's proposed bout with Canelo Alvarez fell through. He added that critics overstating Jake's size advantage are missing the bigger picture. Tank Davis brings speed, power, and elite skills that always neutralize size.
About the elephant in the room. What weight, Nakisa? What weight could they possibly be fighting at? The news broke, Jake and Tank are gonna happen November 14th.
Whatever weight they want, man, they're talking about it, and whatever it is, it's gonna be a definitive outcome. People can talk about pro, exhibition. We're gonna make sure this is as real as it's real.
Why was it, just out of curiosity, why is it not a professional bout and why is it an exhibition? Because I'm sure Jake would have taken the professional bout.
Nothing's been communicated as yet in terms of what it is, right? Similar to, if you remember with Paul Tyson, when we announced it, we didn't have the weight, we didn't have the rules, particularly in terms of the number of rounds, the minutes, the gloves. It's gonna be the same thing here.
Gotcha. Can you just offer us any insight as to how these negotiations went? The reason I ask is because I remember back in March, I was at Tank's fight, and after his fight in his press conference, he was asked, next opponent. He said, well, my next opponent might have been in my locker room tonight, and people asked him, was it Jake? He made reference, he made allusion to. Has this been an ongoing thing, and has it ever, been at a point where it wasn't gonna happen and came back, or was this always the plan?
Always been the plan for Jake to fight Tank once Canelo didn't happen. And to Tank's credit, he's a real bad dude, and he's been calling out Jake for 3 years. And people, it's funny how now they're saying size matters, Jake is big, when for so long it's been Tank would kill Jake Paul. Now you get to see if that's real. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Gotcha. Knockout?
One of them.
The elephant in the room. What do you know about how this came to be? And then if you can, do you have any idea on what the weight is going to be between Jake Paul and Tank Davis, which was just announced?
Well, considering that I'm one of the guys on the team, you know, we always like to allow everyone.
Trainer Jeff Mayweather offered a contrasting view, siding with Jake Paul. He argued that at this weight class, Jake holds the edge thanks to his natural size, power, and reach. Jake has fought mostly at cruiserweight, while Davis is moving up significantly to take this fight. Jeff highlighted the unanswered question, can Davis's frame truly handle the jump? This perspective feeds into the larger debate. Davis is one of the most skilled fighters alive, but size is the one factor that can't be trained.
And I mean, even as good as Tank is.
It'd be similar to Logan and Floyd, right? If it's an exhibition. Well, I mean, the weight differences.
The weight difference is way more. Jake is over 200 pounds.
Logan was around 200 pounds. Who wins the fight, man? We ain't talking. Who wins if they have it? Come on now, answer the question.
I mean, to be honest, I would think Jake know how to fight a little bit. I think he can win. He's the man that's 130.
Adding fuel to the hype, Gervonta Davis posted the official promotional video on Instagram. Many fans had expected him to fight Lamont Roach in a rematch, but Tank instead embraced the spectacle of Jake Paul. By sharing the promo, Davis reminded the world that boxing isn't only about legacy bouts, but also about global entertainment. He dismissed criticism and showed he's unbothered, recognizing that a fight with Jake Paul means one of the biggest audiences in modern boxing.
Fighter, they were trying or still trying to find a common medium, which is 175, so the fight can officially be sanctioned as a real boxing match. But there's no boxing commission that will sanction it because the weight is just too far apart. And Jake Paul has proven to be a true boxer now, okay? So it's considered an exhibition, which what I'm being told is going to be 10 2-minute rounds. But they wanted Jake Paul to make 175 so this can be a real boxing match and count against their record and box rep. But the fans are demanding to see him fight Lamont Roach. As I told you guys, Tank told you that he wasn't fighting Lamont Roach in the rematch. He had other plans, which is Jake Paul. He told you that in the post-fight press conference after the Lamont Roach fight, right? So with that said, that fell through at the time, and he revisited and entertained the idea of fighting Lamont Roach in the rematch. But he never signed the contract. They were supposed to fight June 21st. He never signed the contract. Then they were supposed to fight August 16th. He never signed the contract. And then he had the arrest. He had to get bailed out, so on and so forth. With that said, now he's broke his silence. He resurfaced on social media because he went ghost on social media. And he put up this promo, and the fans are responding in a negative way. And he's responding in a negative way. He's responding right back with the same energy. And he's telling the fans, because the fans are saying, hey, the money that you reportedly making, which is being said that he's going to make $40 million for this fight, according to multiple sources and Eddie Hearn and a few other people. He's supposed to make guaranteed purse of $40 million.
Matchroom's Frank Smith later confirmed that Davis was originally lined up to face Roach again. However, the opportunity to fight Jake Paul shifted plans entirely. Smith admitted that the financial upside and worldwide spotlight were too big to pass up. This choice reflects the current state of boxing, where fighters balance legacy fights with blockbuster crossover bouts. For Davis, Jake Paul represents not just a payday, but a chance to reach a massive global audience beyond traditional boxing fans.
Let's say you take money out of the equation, which is obviously the main factor here, but like he's in a division where he's got killers all in his division. You know, Shakur, Haney, who's 147. You know, you look at T.O., for example, Keyshawn, and then you choose to fight someone like Paul. Surely that's a concern when you do look at it like that.
Yeah, but again, it's the world we're in. If you can get a huge amount of money to fight someone who's never boxed really before, you're going to do it. You know. Floyd Mayweather boxed Logan Paul with a huge weight disparity.
He was done by then. He was done. Like, this is an active world champion.
But it's the world we're in.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. And when it comes down to it, it's just like Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather. Two completely different sports. Was the biggest pay-per-view in recent times, wasn't it? Maybe if ever.
Those are like different comparisons, though, if you think about it. Do you not like?
Yeah, but the sport's in a wild place, isn't it? That's just, like, I'm just like the reality of where we are, you know. And I can't really say much when we're talking about Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua at the same time.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think Tank should get stripped of his title?
Yeah, I think anyone who, just in general, doesn't defend their title to do something else should get stripped, because it shouldn't hold the belts up. You know, in any, like, I think that should be the reality in anything. You know, if you're not going to defend your belts, or you're not defending, sometimes there's the rules. Obviously, if you fight for a belt at a higher weight, you can retain the belt until there. But if you're not, don't have intention of defending the belts, you shouldn't hold the belts up. People should get the opportunity to fight for them.
What happened with the failed negotiations between AJ and Jake Paul?
I think anything's still possible. That was always discussed for next year. You know, this fight's November, early part of next year. AJ's in a great place, because if anyone in the heavyweight division wants to make huge money, Anthony Joshua is the man they have to get in there with.
An analyst also responded to the backlash Davis faced. He argued that fans often look for reasons to criticize fighters rather than appreciate their careers. Tank Davis has put in years of work, built his reputation on discipline, and delivered highlight reel knockouts. If he now chooses to secure a massive payday with Jake Paul, the analyst sees no problem with it. Beyond the money, this fight gives Davis the platform to silence critics and prove he can shine on the sport's biggest stage.
Casual, but what about the hardcore boxing fans? Well, we stand up and put some value on fighters that dare to be great, that respect the sport of boxing and not just the business of boxing. Ryan Garcia never been a champion. Shout out to Ryan Garcia, but Ryan Garcia never been a champion. Making more money than these guys, Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, right? Ryan Garcia, the less accomplished fighter, was just main eventing in their last fight. Devin Haney was the co-main event, and Teofimo Lopez was playing third fiddle. Where were the hardcore boxing fans' dollars? Where were the hardcore boxing fans' appreciation? Don't blame that on Turkey. Don't blame that on the promoters. The promoters are businessmen. And it seems like the promoters already know that the hardcore boxing fans don't flip the bill. Don't get mad at Gervonta Tank Davis for chasing the money, because he understood that in the sport of boxing, it's not enough to just go for the gusto. It's not lucrative to be the best, to fight the best and be the best. And at the end of the day, they prize fighters as well. So the hardcore boxing fans is at fault. The business handlers, you know, in business, you go for your target audience. So they're going for the casuals. Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Tank Davis make the most money and do the left.
Some fans accuse Davis of ducking top names like Shakur Stevenson or Teofimo Lopez to chase Jake Paul. But many counter that criticism is unfair. Davis has already built an undefeated record while beating world champions across weight classes. His legacy stands on its own. Fighting Jake Paul doesn't erase that, instead, it expands his reach. It proves how modern boxing accommodates both legacy fights and crossover spectacles.
Stevenson, no Keyshawn Davis, no Teofimo Lopez, no, none of them dudes. You know what I'm talking about? We gotta think and look at Tank Davis's whole career. He done made some bread, but at the end of the day, all that bread that he made, when it's all said and done, he ain't gonna get no respect from his peers, because we gonna look down his resume and we gonna be like, he was trash, he was some trash, he was some trash, he was alright, but he was never like that. He was okay. He was some trash, he was some trash, he ain't did nothing. Hey, that's just what it's gonna be at the end of the day. Get mad, a moment of silence, all of the Gervonta Tank Davis meet with.
Meanwhile, Jake Paul has already declared his ambitions beyond Davis, calling out Anthony Joshua. The announcement sparked both laughter and disbelief across boxing circles. Joshua's elite resume and huge size advantage make the idea seem far-fetched, but Paul's ambition is undeniable. He continues chasing big names to fast-track his legitimacy. Whether it's for attention, strategy, or true competitive drive, his bold callouts keep him in the spotlight and force the boxing world to acknowledge him.
Yeah, and he's gonna go and fight a 140er and then move up 135er and then move up and fight a heavyweight.
So the lowest he's been, I went through all the fights. For his first two fights, his first two pro fights, he was 175. Now this is all the way back in 2020 against Nate Robinson. Since then, the lowest he's been, as you said, was like the 185 around the Nate Diaz fight, and also for Tommy Fury. I wonder if Jake can get down to that weight anymore. But regardless of Jake's weight, I can't fathom how Tank Davis would be anywhere in the realm of what he would be. Like, it just, he won't even be in earshot of what Jake Paul is going to be.
And for people, like you just mentioned, Nate Robinson, if you're thinking Nate Robinson, oh, he might be around Tank Davis's size. Nah, he was an NBA player. He's 4 inches taller.
Yeah.
Than Tank Davis.
Yeah.
He is not that small. He is around Ryan Garcia's height.
The visual on this is going to be absolutely comical.
Comical, dude. And then on top of all this, Lamont Roach Jr. also jumping on Twitter and saying, told y'all, LOL, duck, duck, duck. That is in reference. This is Gervonta Davis's last opponent in a fight that ended in a draw that many people found to be very controversial.
Showbiz the Adult broke down the timeline of how this fight materialized. According to him, Davis versus Paul was years in the making, with quiet negotiations happening behind the scenes. It only became public after the Roach rematch collapsed, but in reality, the seeds were planted long before. For Jake Paul, the fight is another chance to prove he's more than a YouTube star. For Davis, it's about proving skill and experience can overcome raw size. This isn't just another crossover bout, it's a carefully calculated clash that could reshape both fighters' careers.
This was always the plan. Tank Davis told you at the press conference, the post-press conference of the month. Honestly, here's just a video of all of this being in the works for a while now.
He's gonna call? All right. Yeah, that's how I usually do. And backflip, knockout, backflip, call someone out. Ooh. So it'll be a first time. So more reason to tune in on March 1st.
Yeah, but I just told you that in the air. You said.
Do you want that rematch next? And if so, how likely it is that we're going to see that fight happen again this year? Is that the one you want next?
It's definitely the one I want next, but it's not gonna be next.
Oh, well, what is?
You might see it in a minute.
With you and Tank actually being a thing, was that something that was talked about?
Yeah, no, it was highly talked about and in negotiations and almost ready to make happen, but he has to do his rematch with Lamont and get that W, and then we'll be able to run it back. But me and Gervonta were scheduled to fight for sure.
So, this was always a thing, and which kind of explains why they robbed Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach won that fight, bro. They robbed him of the knockdown. He won that fight. You count the knockdown. Let's just say it's a draw. You count the knockdown, Lamont Roach wins officially. All right, they robbed him of the knockdown. And which makes sense, okay? Because this is going to be one hell of a bag. And I want to make this understood. This isn't one hell of a bag because Jake Paul is a hell of a bag type of guy. They both are. It's the matchup. All right, I've seen Jake Paul have fights that didn't do so well, like Mike.
That wraps up today's breakdown. Stay tuned for more updates.